What is up? Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a quick and easy motion sensor that it will control your moving props, lights, strobe lights, string lights, LED lights, anything that you want to have activated when somebody walks past it. And this will cost you about $20. It's very easy to do. It's electrical, which scares a lot of people, but once you learn how to do it, you know how to do it, and then you can make these yourself and pretty much put them anywhere you like. We have 3 stations set up in our yard, so anytime somebody walks past it or drives past it slow, most people like to drive by and look at our stuff, and each prop and lighting source activates every time they drive by. Or you could just have them sitting on the ground, so if you want your prop to turn on as soon as they walk past, then that gives power. We also use it on our small amplifier that has a MP3 player hooked to it for our zombies. The zombies are hooked to it, and then strobe lights. So this is going to be a simple 3-way cord from pretty much Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, and a cheap motion sensor that you can pretty much get anywhere to Amazon, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart. So I'm going to show you the stuff we're going to need, and let's get started. So this is what you're going to need to do this project. I went to my local hardware store and I picked up this cheap motion sensor. It was 15 bucks. It's gray. They have gray, white, and black. They were out of everything except gray. I use a cheap 3-way 6-foot extension cord, and we're gonna cut that pretty much in half, and the power is gonna run to the sensor, and then we're gonna take this off and this off, and then run one cord in this way and one cord out this way, and then that's gonna control your 3-way prong right here. So you'll have the option to run 3 or more devices off of it, however you choose. So that, we got some pretty much wire cutters, crimpers, strippers. Some people like to use wire nuts. I'm not a big fan. You can use butt connectors. You could use heat shrink connectors. I am going to solder and use heat shrink on mine because I want these connections to be super watertight, and I don't want to worry about any kind of corrosion because these will sit outside. They will get rained on. And then after we get that wired, it's going to get mounted to a piece of wood. That's why I keep these scrap 2x6s. I'll probably just go ahead and flip that guy over. And we're just going to mount it to there. I do have a couple of short 1-inch drywall screws, and I will put that in each one of these holes and mount it down. Like I said, the wires will come out through these holes. You could definitely save these sockets. These are about $5 a piece at the hardware store, so always save your sockets because they do come in handy if you're going to attach them to something else for like a spotlight. So here's the soldering iron. We got a drill. We got some black spray paint. Once we get it done, we're just going to tape off the sensor because it does have a photocell, and these only work at night. If you expect your props to turn on during the daytime, it's not going to work. Once this thing senses that it's dark, it will kick on and start working. There is a setting feature for minimum and max. So minimum distance and maximum distance. So depending on where this is, if they're going to walk right past it, you want to put it on minimum. If they're going to be real far away, you want to put on max setting. And it does have a time frame on there. I like to put mine on test mode just to try them out, and it stays on for about 15 seconds. Then you can move your way up to 1 minute, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes, depending on how long you want your prop to stay on or your lights. So let me get you set up, and we'll show you how to wire this bad boy up. All right, first things first, what you're gonna need to know is that these all do share the same neutral wire, which is going to be your white wire. First thing you want to do is take off these little bell housing looking connectors. These are definitely golden, so I like to keep those. This is just a little piggyback tail that they put on here to make it easier when you do wire it up in your home. Your black wire is going to be your hot wire. So if you don't know how this went, take your phone, take a picture of it so you know how everything is set up so you don't get confused later down the road. So pretty much you just want to reverse crimp those connectors, and you could definitely reuse them. I saved a bunch from a lamp that I found a pair of lamps on the side of the road, and I'm going to go ahead and reuse those hardware that came off of that. And these are pretty easy. All they do is just twist off. So you just want to undo these bad boys, get them out of the way. And definitely save these. I mean, remember, your white is going to be the neutral, and on these ones, the red is going to be the hot. So you could pretty much use any kind of cord. Like so. I like to keep every kind of electrical device, like even if it goes bad, your hair dryer, your vacuum cleaner, you know, they stop working, just cut the cord off. On these, you really can't mix up the wiring. So all you do is you could just take this, take one of these, put it on there, connect it, put this one on the other, connect it, and just like that, you have a working light fixture. And all you gotta do is just drill I think that's a 1/2 inch hole, might be a little bit bigger. Don't quote me on that. But you can pretty much mount these anywhere and use them for spotlights. Like in your witch's cauldron, a lot of people are doing. I see a lot on online, people do the cauldron. Drill a hole in the cauldron, mount that up, and this is adjustable. All you gotta do is loosen that little Phillips screw. So you could adjust it however direction you want. And we pretty much have that same setup in our cauldron, but we're using a LED Jimmy spotlight. But you can put the regular screw-in bulbs in there, and they work just as good. And so we got those. Hold on to those for the next project, and then we're gonna get on to this. So pretty easy to do. I have my soldering iron already heating up. I know a lot of these people say, oh, don't use those outside, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, I've been doing this stuff for years, and I have never had a single problem with my motion sensors. They get wet all the time. And as long as you follow the directions on here, because it does say on here, this side up, make sure you remember that. This side has to face up, because if this does get water in it, it fills up this cavity right here, and then your photocell and motion sensor will not work anymore. So definitely take that into consideration, this side up. So let's get this stuff out of the way. And what I like to do is I take this cord, I like using brown, black, or green because they're easier to camouflage. I'm gonna take this cord, split it down the middle. Well, actually, pro tip here. You got one side that's got little ridges on it. You could feel it with your fingernail. So I wanna make sure that when I do that, that one ridge, I'm gonna mark it with a marker. Mark it pretty far down because you're gonna have to cut it and strip it. So that one's marked so I know which one is what. So I'm gonna fold that in half. Get my good wire cutters here. So we're gonna do that. And we're just gonna peel that back. Cut and peel that one back. Let me pause you real quick. All right, sorry about that. Had somebody stop by and wanted to ask me some questions about some wheels. All right, so we got these ones marked out that are got the black Sharpie on there. So what we're gonna do is just gonna strip these off. Strip those off. And take about ½ inch off. So pretty much what you're gonna do, you're gonna take that sensor, you're gonna take your female end, that's where you're gonna plug your accessories in. You're gonna run that through one side. You're gonna take your male side, you're gonna run that in. On these, they do share the same neutral wire, which is gonna be this white one. This one's gonna be your activation wire. So you're gonna have the power coming in from this plug, and then you're gonna have your power going out to this plug. So pretty much all you're gonna do is attach this one here, this one here, this one here, and then this one to your black. So we're gonna go ahead and get that going. Give those a little twisty twist. These ones are already twisted and soldered, so that's great. So I'll get me some shrink wrap. Buy these on Amazon. I go through quite a bit of this. I do a lot of car audio and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna slip one on there. Always make sure you put these on before you start. Because after you get it all soldered and you realize I forgot to put the heat shrink on, that's gonna suck. So we got those two. So your black's gonna be the activation, the one that I marked. So these two could go ahead and get connected. So what I'm gonna do is just twisty these. Get that guy out of the way. And you don't have to use solder, I just prefer to because I like it to be a good solid connection. They do come with a pack of these. If you want to throw those in there, twisty them on there real good. Just make sure you throw a little electrical tape on, and that's going to make sure that it stays pretty watertight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that nice and hot. And then I'm going to start soldering that wire. I just want to make sure it's got a good solid connection. I don't have to worry about it corroding down the road. All right, that's soldered. Let that cool for a second. Now always make sure it cools before you go to put the shrink wrap on there. You go to put the shrink wrap on when it's too hot, that shrink wrap's just gonna melt right to it, and then you're gonna be stuck. I was getting confused what I was doing there for a second. Let's see. Go ahead and get this one out of the way. So this is going to be your main hot. Give that guy a haircut. A little too long. So I'm going to jam all this wire down inside this little cubby hole right here. So I'll take these, I'll just give them a little twist around each other. Kind of looks like a piece of rope. Just kind of lay them together and then just kind of twisty them together. Same thing on this one. This is going to be the main hot coming in. Take that soldering iron, lay it on there, get it hot. So we can do it from this side so you can see better. And just let it suck in there. And this stuff does stink. I would have the fan on, but it's just too much noise. So now that you got your power wire going to your plug, then we're gonna have to attach these three all together. So that's cool to the touch now. So we're just gonna put that give it a little heat. Boom, that one's done. Nice and tight. This one's cooled off. Make sure you kind of pinch it on the sides and you know where the center is, where the solder is, where that connection goes. Give that a little kiss of the flame. If you don't have a lighter, you could use a heat gun, crack torch, whatever you got. This one I'm going to go with a little bit bigger heat shrink because it is going to have 3 wires. Because pretty much we are reconnecting these two together and we're adding this extra one. So what I'm going to do is put these kind of just braid them in together. Like I said, you don't have to solder. You can use the wire nuts. I'm not a big wire nut fan. You snip off that little end. These have solder on them already, so it makes it a little bit difficult to work with. Well, back to this. This one might take a little bit more because it is thicker. And you could buy these soldering irons at Walmart or any auto parts store, about $5. And then the solder itself, $2 or $3. We're just gonna melt that all together. Once I see it kind of sucks in, I know it's on there pretty good. I give it a little extra love right here. But I hold it under the wire so it gets that wire hot and it helps that solder really soak in there. So we're just gonna let that cool for a minute. Then we're gonna take the heat shrink. It's still a little hot. And just work that thing on there. It's a little bulky, but since it's got 2 wires going in and 1 wire coming out, so I use a little bit bigger. Just kiss that with the flame. Don't leave it on there too long. You don't want to burn through it. Get around it real good. So that pretty much does it for the wiring. But I mean, you can, these heat shrink connectors, these things are awesome. It'll do the same thing as the heat shrink. All you do is just put the wires in and crimp it in the middle, hit it with the lighter, you know, heat gun, whatever you got. Butt connectors are fine, but you do want to make sure you wrap these up real good with electrical tape, and the same thing with the wire nuts. Like I said, I am not a professional electrician. I have been learning how to do this pretty much the same way you guys do. I started off real basic, and I still kind of keep it simple. And then you just tuck your wires down in that little cubby hole. So now you have an in and an out. And this is adjustable too, so you can adjust this whatever direction you want. We keep ours right at the front of the cemetery fencing, and whenever people drive by or they walk by, trick-or-treaters or just cars driving by, that will set off our props, our witch, the cauldron, the motor that's in the cauldron, the lights that are under the cauldron, the orange LED for the coals, and then the spotlight. They all come at the same time. So make sure when you do plug this in, it's always on a constant circuit. Like, you don't want to hook a motion sensor to a motion sensor to a motion sensor. You want to make sure that whatever this is plugged into, it stays on all the time. We do have things, we run like a power strip, and then I'll have my fog machine hooked up behind the witch, and then the fog machine has a PVC pipe that runs up into the cauldron at the base with a hole cut out. So the fog machine's on a timer itself, and it blows the fog out through the center of the cauldron, and that stays on all the time. It's set for every 3 minutes. We'll go over that another day, how to do the fog machine timer and the half-gallon fluid reservoir that I put on all of our fog machines, so they could actually hold more fog juice, because a lot of these fog juices, they only hold about 12 ounces of juice, and they run out super fast. And I like mine to go all night and not have to worry about refilling them, especially when you're in the middle of having a bunch of people walking through your yard. You don't want to run out of fog juice, so we always refill them every night. So we're just going to take our drywall screws, and this goes right through the plastic. So I like drywall screws, they're real pointy. When you stab it in there, it definitely ain't moving. So that's that. Unplug the soldering iron, it's still pretty hot. And then what I like to do, take a little painter's tape. Just go over that sensor. I think this is the 1/2 inch painter's tape. Press that down. Make sure you get that whole sensor covered. Take a little handy dandy knife. These things have a little deal on there, so you just snap them off, and then you got a fresh blade. I love these. We do a lot of window tinting and decals and stuff like that. You don't have to be a perfectionist at it, but definitely cut through that. All right, now it's all taped off. Next thing we're gonna do, get some of this stuff out of the way. I like to grab these, this is pretty strong, and I will take it. Got the cheap $3 can, flat black, nothing fancy. You can use gloss, you could use camo, you could actually use the vine to camouflage the wiring, but I usually like to use black, green, or brown. At the time they only had the brown, so I'm cool with that. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go over it real quick. If I get it on the wire, no big deal. But you could put plants around it, you could put bones, whatever part of the yard it's gonna be in. I'm gonna hit that sensor. I don't spray a lot on the bottom because I need that switch to move. I don't want it to be all stuck with paint. And this is pretty much the cheapest way to have a motion activated prop. If you want for sound, I'll go over my amplifier setup for our zombie so you can see how easy it is to do. I use a basic cheap Sony Walkman MP3 player that I've had probably 10 years. And I go on Amazon, I buy the whole MP3 album of the Scary Halloween sounds. I think there's 200 tracks, and it's about 10 bucks. I'm sure people out there know you could go somewhere else and get music, but I'm old school. I still use Pandora. I got that Pandora Premium. It's a Bluetooth to my outside system. I use some old truck speaker boxes that are spray painted black. I got them for free. They sound awesome. And then I use a 12-inch or a 10-inch powered subwoofer that goes to a home theater system. So that's pretty much it. You got your, plug that into your power strip or your extension cord. And then you got this guy right here. And like I said, I was able to run my windshield wiper motor off of one, my LED spotlight, and then the LED string lights that go inside the cauldron, the coals. So all three will be able to come off, off of that one sensor. And you can branch this off with another three-way and hook up more stuff if you want to have more lights, more props, because this thing is rated to withstand a lot of power. If you could put 2 of those big ass bulbs on there, those bulbs are 100 watts a piece, and you saw the size of this wire. So I don't recommend even putting those. If I'm going to do anything that big, they're going to be LED powered. They're not going to be halogen, because these things, you could cook an egg on them. They get super hot. Everything I use is, every light that we have is LED. I haven't used one that's not. So pretty much 20 bucks. Easy to do. Make sure I get that paint under there too. Just hit it again. And then we'll peel that tape off. So that's it on that. Let me find my little knife. And then boom, there's your sensor. So, and then adjust it however you want, and you're good to go on that. So, pretty easy. You don't gotta be scared of electricity. I mean, you mess up, you're only gonna get shocked, and then you'll learn your lesson and know not to do that again. So, always keep these. These things are great to have. Yeah, I mean, if they're, I think I saw them for $5.99 each at the hardware store. And like I said, you could do the same thing. Attach your wires with a plug. Well, make sure you you drill your hole and you install it first before you put your plug on, or you're gonna be really screwed. So let me show you a couple other examples of some that we do have. All right, here's a couple examples. This is the one that I made years ago. It's a little beat up. This one, it's got a white cord, and I just spray painted it black. But yeah, we'll use that for our the witch, our zombies, and then our coffin creeper that he's motion activated. You see all the grass clippings where I've had to go and weed eat. This one, I actually put it on one of these like junction boxes, the heavy metal box. And this is if you guys are afraid to do all the wiring. Pretty much all you do is just wire, you know, a regular plug like that into one of these. And you can leave the sockets on there. That's totally fine. I use this one for the zombies. The way I have it set is inside of our archway to where it's screwed. That's why I like these little tabs. Those little tabs get screwed up high, so when people walk in, it activates the zombies and the strobe lights and the amplifier. So if it's got a regular socket like that, all you do is buy the plug. It just screws right in, 2-pronged, and you could plug in your little 3-way extension cords. And yeah, these things just screw right in there, and makes life a lot easier. If you're not comfortable doing all the cutting and wiring and stuff, you could buy that box for about $5. The sensor is about $15, and I believe they sell these for around $1.99, $2. And these are great for your porch lights too. So if you're not going to be using your porch light at Halloween, you know, totally use it for power. If you don't have outlets outside, well, now you do, because all you gotta do is screw that in, and you have power. You're not gonna be able to run, you know, a whole lot of stuff off of it. It could blow your breaker. I wouldn't be running fog machines and all that stuff. But for lighting or simple animatronics, that's the way to go. So back to the wiring situation we got here. I wound up picking up these lamps right here. Somebody was throwing them away on the side of the road. And I was like, well, it's got the wiring, it's got the sockets. And what I did here, I already went ahead and disassembled this. And this is great because this is a heavy base. So you can I took everything off. I took all the guts out of it. And these actually unscrew. So you could unscrew these and make them shorter. There's a section to where you could unscrew each piece. So I took all the guts out of it, and you could attach your skeleton to it. And it's got that nice heavy base. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's pretty stout. And what's great, it comes with all this nice hardware. It comes with all this extra wiring. Came with an on-off switch, and pretty much you just wire that in line with one of those wires. Came with a couple of bulb sockets here. Came with one of these. You could use these on your columns or your little pillars that you put out front. You could paint these up. This one's super dirty, but like how this one's just mounted to the side. It's got a couple of screw holes. Flatten them out with a hammer. Put them on the vise and smash them flat. And then you can pretty much just screw them to anything. And it's got its own power switch on top. to turn it on and off. So that's a nice little score right there, because you get all this cool hardware. This is a lamp bulb socket too. And then you could attach these pretty much. Save that plate. You could mount that. Put that on there. All lamps have these little nuts. Pretty much they're all held together. Put that little nut on there. And take those cords, connect them together, hook it to the end of that plug, and you got yourself a nice little fixture. Drill you a couple of holes on each side, and you can mount that thing wherever you want. And that was free. All this stuff was free. Those lights were free. All this wiring, I think it's about an 8-foot long cord. It's pretty long. So if you need to, save your wiring. That's gonna beat going and searching one on Amazon or online. I save cords from everything. If it blows up, I save the cord. I keep a whole bunch of them hanging up here in the garage. Anything from your GFIs that have the test and reset button. These will trip if you're sucking too much power. I got cheap lamp cords, cords off of vacuum cleaners. I mean, always save your cords. I got 2-way, I got 3-way. Most of my stuff's all 2-way. Always keep extra lamp cords. So it's nice to have that kind of stuff. Keep extra LED lights in case I need to wire up something. I'm not a hoarder, I just know what I need, and it's gonna come in handy. So keep your wiring, definitely. All right, so I got it hooked up in the darkest part of my garage. I turned off all the lights, and we're testing it out. I made that weird little dome light deal with the 2 sockets. It's a green and a purple bulb. I have this on, I believe, test mode, and we're going to see if it's going to turn off or not. So I think test mode, it might be for 30 seconds. So we're just going to see what happens. Hopefully I didn't set it for 10 minutes. Let me double check on that. Yeah, I have it on 5 minutes. Let me go ahead and turn the light on. Let's see. Okay. So light's on. To reset these, you want to disconnect power, reconnect power. All right, let's try this again. So yeah, it was on 5 minutes, not test mode. Okay, it's dark. Sensor is powered up. Just gonna wave my hand in front of it, just like that. Boom, lights turn on. Okay, so maybe it was 10 seconds, I don't know. All right. Okay, maybe 5 seconds, I don't know. So that's just a test. So you can set it for 1, 5, or 10 minutes. Maybe 1, 3, 5, and 10, I'm not sure. So yeah. Off. Leave the hand in front, turns on. Works like a champ. So you can put these things anywhere. I'm standing, whoop, I just moved my hand. So yeah, that was the cheap little lamp that I made out of nothing. These little bell caps. Hey, dude, come on. That's strange. Hey, it's still working with the light on. Maybe it's because it's not sunlight. It's actually artificial light. But I know at night, we usually turn on our props around 7 o'clock because that's when all the sensors start working. Here's our cauldron. Get my kids' scooters out of the way. Here's our cauldron. It's a little beat up. Time to freshen her up. We have another stand. And this is our witch's cauldron. So I have the power wire. This is for the adapter, the AC/DC converter, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's our wiper motor setup. We use a broom handle, and I use a caster wheel from an old chair. And then here's our Jimmy spotlight. I put G on there for a green. I don't know what color is what. But, oh, here we go. Thought I lost that. There's our power supply, just zip tied. I was wondering why the cord was just in there. You get these on Amazon for about 12 bucks. The cord plugs into the bottom. And then here is the power supply for the LED lights that light up the coals. Those are going to have to get repainted this year. They look a little toasty. I do have little orange LED lights popping through the bottom too. I just drilled holes and then stuck them through there. There's a speed controller right there. You get those on Amazon. And I just drilled a little hole. So if I want to adjust the speed of the witch, and you can hear it like click on and off. So you could turn it on and off from here. And I keep it about midway. And then she stirs nice and slow. And then the cord for the LED spotlight. So I'll have these two plugged into the 3-way cord. And then this one for the 12-volt power supply. And that's what powers up the witch. But I get these motors for free. My wife works at the GM dealership, which I used to work at a long time ago too. And she gets those for free. I got boxes of them right there. These are recalls from GMC Terrain. They had a recall. I guess they were leaking water inside. So when we get them, they look just like this. They replaced the whole shebang. This is where your wiper arms would attach. And there was something that was leaking. I don't know if it was the rubber, but it was leaking inside the cars, and the floorboards were getting wet. So GM sent on a recall. What I like about these, they have really heavy duty arms, and then all this cool linkage that you get with it, you get for free. So if you wanted to put some zombie arms on these and make them go back and forth like they're dancing or whatnot, that'd be cool. But I save this arm because it's got a little ball joint socket right here that's greased up, and it's built to last. And what I did, I just hose clamped it right here and then used that for the cauldron. And then I attached the caster wheel, pop this plastic out, attach the caster wheel to that. And then that goes through the broom handle of the witch, which she's in here right now. She's not a happy camper. So there's our witch. There's her broom handle. It's hard to hold her up. She is heavy. She's heavy. So yeah, she's pretty ugly looking. It's my box of Christmas lights and wiring, and I go to Lowe's and I buy a whole bunch of these at like Christmas time. Sometimes I spray paint them black. And I got timers on some of the Christmas lights. I buy a whole bunch of bulbs, the LED bulbs, the 3-way plugs, tons of bulbs, tons of cords. This is all Christmas wiring and lighting. The house is already done up. And then we got our other guys that we made. These guys got little battery powered strobe lights, and we just hammer them in the ground. But we hand built those. That's when we first started doing our corpsing. I think that was my wife's, and then this one was mine with the eyeball sticking out. And then they just got these little battery powered strobes. So every night we go out there and turn on all our little lights. We got skulls and heads, ropes and chains, battery powered lights, lighting, wiring, hanging decorations, fog machine box, which now we have 4 fog machines, so we don't need those anymore. That light's still working, it's crazy.